Ms. Harvey, can you tell us?
This is the other book.
Can you remind us again which are the congenitally missing teeth?
Congenitally missing, most common,
Is
other
lateral.
than third molars,
Is
because
lateral.
our jaw is evolving to be smaller. Maxillary lateral incisors. And what on the mandible?
Premolars.
Second premolars.
Second.
Mandibular second premolars. This is a canine. What does the canine have that is unlike an incisor or a premolar?
Two fossa.
Two fossa. Good. So right away I know it's a canine. I see the lingual ridge and I see the fossa divided into a mesial and distal. The canine, remember, is we all had that friend that likes to try to fit in whatever crowd they're with. The mesial aspect is going to look more like an incisor. The distal aspect is trying to look like a premolar. It's trying to fit in with everybody. The crowd to the front, the crowd to the back. So the mesial half looks more like, if I were to cover half of that up, looks more like an incisor. I know that's my mesial. The rounded curve is toward the premolars, that's my distal. So line up your mesial with the midline. It's a maxillary tooth. Also, the root's going to have distal inclination. The apices, when I'm looking at the labial view. So if I line up my midline, is that number 6 or number 11? 6. Permanent maxillary
Right canine.
canine. What does a first premolar have that no other premolar has? Maxillary first premolar.
It has a bifurcated root.
It has a bifurcated root. Very good. The first premolar. That was my question. Can you repeat that? What does the maxillary first premolar have that no other premolar has, typically? As a general rule.
You said the premolar.
Which
or
one?
molar?
The maxillary first premolar.
It has the cusp that it's kind of like
The
high cut of country.
premolar. Maxillary first premolar.
Bifurcated root.
Bifurcated root, yes.
You have the
Bifurcated root. You said it before. I was just asked to repeat it, what my question
you have
was.
the labial elevation of the labial cusp has a longer elevation than
Yes. And it has the more significant mesial root depression, which subjects it to a higher risk of periodontal disease. Looking at this canine, which side would you say is my mesial? Which one has the longer angle? This side
Yeah.
or this side?
No, the other one.
So this
the
is my
mesial.
mesial. Where is my root incline? Is that a maxillary or mandibular?
Mandibular.
Mandibular. If that's my mesial side and I line it up to the midline, is it number 22 or number 27?
27.
Wait, are you gonna be
27.
It's going to the right. That's 27.
Are you
Which
gonna
side
be,
your mesial?
are you gonna be
That's
flipping the teeth?
27.
It's left, isn't it? Wait. Which one was it?
I think it'll be challenging.
Yeah.
So.
Canines one that way. Which one was it, Miss Hardy?
27.
Yeah.
So if you saw it, if it were turned upside down and you saw, wait, that's the mesial side, that root is inclined, that's not a maxillary tooth, it's a mandibular. Don't do that. I won't.
So all mandibular roots are
mirror
not
images are
mesial,
fun,
but
though.
all maxillary roots are.
Put them side by side.
I'm sorry.
All mandibular roots are distal, or maxillary roots. All maxillary
Maxillary
roots are
roots are
distal,
distal
but
and
not all
fine.
mandibular roots are medial.
Mandibular incisors and, or anteriors, I should say, canine to canine, have a mesial inclination.
Okay.
Posteriors have distal.
Here's
What tooth does a maxillary first permanent molar replace?
This is the second.
What was the question?
None.
Thank you, Lee. It does not replace a primary tooth, right?
Like
I
what?
said none, right?
That's called.
Yeah,
She was looking at me, I was like, did I say something wrong?
No, you said none.
Yeah.
That one is non-succeeding.
Non-succeedness, it does not succeed another tooth, it's not a follower. It wants its own territory, it comes in, molars come in.
I was confused.
Premolars are succeedness. Premolars, even though there are no premolars in the primary dentition, both dentitions have a central, a lateral, a canine. In the primary dentition, you have a first molar, second. Central, lateral, canine, what do you have in the permanent dentition? First premolar, second. Permanent first premolar replaces a primary first molar. Permanent second premolar replaces a primary second molar.
Say that again?
A permanent first premolar replaces a primary first molar. A permanent second premolar replaces the primary second molar. So in a primary dentition, you have a central, you have a central, a lateral, a canine, a first molar, and a second molar.
Okay, so the premolars replace both.
There's 20 teeth in the primary dentition, which would be 10 in each arch, so right and left will look the same, and 5 in each quadrant. Central, a lateral, a canine, a first molar, because primary doesn't have premolars. Okay, so my permanent central will come in, my permanent lateral, my permanent canine, my first premolar, my second premolar, my first molar, so these are non-succeedinous.
So which is the tooth that has the same, like, anatomical structure as the other?
At the permanent teeth?
What permanent tooth has
That's
the
my
same
question.
anatomical structure as the primary? Or
Second
is
The
the
one that
other
had
one-
three roots.
The permanent teeth are very similar to their primary counterparts, centrals, laterals, canines. The first primary molar doesn't resemble any other tooth. The second primary molar has a cusp of carability like a first permanent. But the first primary molar doesn't look like any other tooth. It's very unique morphology. The second primary molar has a cusp of carabelli, so it looks very similar to its permanent first counterpart.
So second, first premolar, first primary molar.
Doesn't look like any other teeth. Its morphology is very unique.
The second primary molar.
So in the permanent dentition, primary, I'll try your math, and this is secondary or permanent dentition, 32 teeth, in the permanent dentition, 16 in an arch, 8 in a quadrant. So I have the central, lateral, canine, a first premolar, a second, which replaced the 20 primary teeth. Those are all succeedinous. And in each quadrant, I have 3 molars times 4 quads. That's the 12 teeth that are non-succeedinous. I had a question that threw everybody for a loop. How many permanent teeth are succeediness?
20.
20. 20 teeth replace 20 baby teeth, 20 permanent teeth.
That's a trick.
How many are non-succeediness? 12.
12. Non-succeeding.
Which permanent molar has become take care of that?
First maxillary. So maxillary first premolars have that very significant mesial root concavity. It places them at risk for perio disease. They also are the only premolar that, as a rule, has a furcation.
Only mesial?
It is actually a buccal and lingual root, so we're looking at the mesial aspect of the tooth on that view.
But the root concavity is only mesial?
Yes, it has a very pronounced mesial root concavity.
It wouldn't be on the back, on the distal
It's
part.
not as deep on the distal, it's on the mesial.
Ms. Harvey, the first primary molar that doesn't look like any tooth, is that the maxillary or the permanent? Or both?
Ask that question one more time.
The first primary molar that doesn't look like any other tooth,
That's both maxillary and mandibular.
and for the cusp of cerebelli on the second primary molar, that's on the maxillary or?
That is on the maxillary. The maxillary second primary molar has a cusp of Carabelli.
I know the permanent is the first maxillary.
And on permanent dentition, it's the first molar. Mesial lingual cusp of the first molar.